What was the last thing that Jesus spoke? Was it, "It is finished"? Or was it, "Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit"? And just as importantly, which of these statements did Jesus say with a loud voice, and which of these statements did Jesus make with a lowered voice? The scripture does not tell us which of these statements was made with a lowered voice. However, it does tell us which of these statements was made with a loud voice. Luke chapter 23 verse 46. And when Jesus had cried with a loud voice, he said, "Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit." And having said thus, he gave up the ghost. Mark chapter 15 verse 37. And Jesus cried with a loud voice and gave up the ghost. Matthew chapter 27 verse 50. Jesus, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost. John chapter 19 verse 30. When Jesus therefore had received the vinegar, he said, "It is finished," and he bowed his head and gave up the ghost. The question we now have is, where was John and Matthew when they heard Jesus speak? And the eyewitness accounts that Luke and Mark received, where were those eyewitnesses when Jesus spoke? John chapter 19 verse 26. When Jesus therefore saw his mother and the disciple standing by, whom he loved, he saith unto his mother, "Woman, behold thy son." We know that John refers to himself as the disciple whom Jesus loved. He refers to himself as such on 4 occasions in the Gospel of John. And at the end of chapter 21, he reveals his identity as the author of the Gospel of John by saying that he is that disciple. We know therefore that John was at the foot of the cross, alongside Mary, the mother of Jesus. We know that John included things in his account of the good news was different to that of Matthew, Mark, and Luke. He had insight to things that they didn't. He included information that they didn't. He does not speak of a loud voice. In John's account, he records what everyone else would not have heard. That is Jesus saying in a low voice, "It is finished." The last thing that Jesus spoke, the last thing that Jesus said, the last statement of Christ is, "It is finished." And he did not say that in a loud voice. He said that in a low voice. We must therefore conclude that Matthew was at some distance from the cross, since his account only describes hearing a loud voice and not what that loud voice said. We must also conclude that Mark's account, his eyewitness that he spoke to, was also at some distance from the cross and did not hear what was spoken, but only that they heard a loud voice. Whereas Luke's account, the eyewitness that he spoke to, was close enough to hear what the loud voice said, but was not close enough to hear what Jesus said in a low voice, which only John records, who was at the foot of the cross.